I stood in my own driveway, staring at the new locks on my front door, while my daughter spoke to me through the Ring doorbell camera. She said I could come by on Sundays as long as I called ahead first. 4 months. For 4 months, I had been living out of a hotel room, paying for my retirement savings, while she supposedly renovated my house as a surprise. But there was no surprise. There was no gift. There was only theft. My name is Linda. I'm 72 years old. I lived in that house for 43 years. I raised my children there. I said goodbye to my husband in that living room. And my own daughter nearly took everything from me. Nearly. Before I explain how this nightmare began, tell me where are you watching from today? Drop your city and state in the comments. It helps me feel less alone. After everything I've endured, community matters more than ever. This all began 6 months ago, on what felt like a perfectly ordinary Tuesday morning. I was sitting on my back porch, drinking coffee, when Stephanie pulled into my driveway in her Range Rover. My daughter had always done well for herself. She's a real estate agent, married to Brad, who works in finance. They live in one of those brand new developments, open floor plans, granite countertops, everything modern. I was proud of her. I trusted her completely. That was my first mistake. Mom, she called, practically bouncing up the porch steps. I have the most incredible idea, and I don't want you saying no until you hear me out. I smiled, intrigued. Stephanie had that kind of energy that filled a room. What is it, sweetheart? She sat across from me and took my hands. Brad and I want to completely renovate your house. New kitchen, new bathrooms, refinished floors, everything. It's our gift to you. I was speechless. Renovations like that cost tens of thousands of dollars. Stephanie, I can't let you do that. Mom, we want to, she insisted. We've already talked to contractors. But here's the thing, you can't stay here during construction. It'll be dusty, noisy, and unsafe. She squeezed my hands gently. What if you stayed somewhere nice for a few weeks? We'll handle everything. Just let us do this for you. My heart swelled. Since my husband Tom passed 3 years earlier, the house had felt painfully empty. The cabinets were still from 1981. The master bathroom had awful pink tile. The idea of a beautifully updated home, one where I could host my book club and welcome my grandchildren, comfortably felt like a dream. How long would I need to be gone? I asked. 4 weeks, she said. Maybe 6 at most. We'll put you somewhere comfortable. You won't have to worry about a thing. I should have worried about everything. The following week flew by. Stephanie showed up with spreadsheets, Pinterest boards, and contractor estimates. She showed me stunning kitchens with white cabinets and marble countertops, bathrooms straight out of magazines. Everything looked professional. Legitimate. Generous. I found you a great extended stay hotel, she said, scrolling through photos. It has a kitchenette, and it's only 20 minutes away. You can stop by to see the progress anytime you want. Anytime? I repeated. Well, during the day while contractors are working. Insurance and liability stuff. That should have been the first red flag. But I was so grateful, so excited, that I ignored the quiet voice asking why I couldn't just stay with her and Brad. When I mentioned it, she was ready. Mom, we're having our basement finished right now. The whole house is chaos. You'd hate it. The hotel will be much more comfortable. It made sense. Everything she said made sense. Then came the paperwork. One evening, Stephanie arrived with a folder full of documents and spread them across my kitchen table. Just formalities, she said. Insurance papers, contractor permissions, things like that. I skimmed through contracts and waivers until one document stopped me. What's this? A quitclaim deed? She barely looked up from her phone. Oh, that's temporary. It just protects us legally while we invest in the renovation. If anything happened to you during construction, God forbid, the work could still continue. Once everything's finished, we transfer it back. It's standard when family's involved. I set my pen down. I need time to think about this. Her smile tightened. Mom, the contractors start Monday. Deposits are already paid. If you don't trust me, just say it. It's not about trust. Then what is it? I'm trying to do something nice for you, and you're acting like I'm stealing from you. Her eyes filled with tears. After everything I've done, you really think I'd hurt you? The guilt hit me hard. What kind of mother doubts her own daughter? I'm sorry, I said softly. You're right. I'm just being paranoid. You don't have to sign it, she said, gathering the papers. We can cancel everything. No, I rushed. I want you to do this. It's just a big change. She softened. I know. That's why I don't want you signing anything you're uncomfortable with. Let's get you settled into the hotel, and we'll deal with the deed later. I agreed. I didn't sign the quitclaim deed that night. But she kept asking. The hotel was decent. Clean room, small kitchenette, comfortable bed. A view of the parking lot. Stephanie paid the first month, helped me unpack, and promised updates. This is going to be amazing, Mom, she said. For the first week, she sent photos, cabinets coming out, floors torn up, walls prepped. I even drove by twice. There was a dumpster in the driveway and a contractor's truck outside. Everything looked real. Then the photos stopped. After 5 days, I texted her. Can you send some updates? Busy, Mom. Everything's on schedule. I decided to drive by without telling her. The dumpster was still there, but the contractor truck was gone. Something felt wrong. I walked up and tried my key. It didn't work. My heart raced. I tried again. Nothing. The locks had been changed. I called her immediately. My key doesn't work. Did they change the locks? Oh yes, she said casually. For security. With crews coming and going, we didn't want anyone unauthorized getting in. I'll get you a new key this week. Can I come see the progress today? Not today. They're doing chemical treatments, floor refinishing. Not safe. Let's plan for next week. Next week passed. Then another. No key. No visit. Just excuses. Permits delayed. Electrical problems. Backordered tile. By week 6, I was paying for my own hotel. She promised reimbursement. Said contractors were having cash flow issues. The 4 to 6 week renovation stretched into 3 months. My savings were disappearing. I was living out of a suitcase. I hadn't been inside my own home in over a month. I need to see the house. I told her firmly. Mom, it's not safe. I don't care. It's my house. Long silence. Fine. Saturday at 2. I'll meet you there. I arrived early, and at 1:30, I saw something that made my blood turn cold. Through my living room window, my curtains, hung 20 years ago, I saw Stephanie and Brad, sitting on my couch, watching my TV. The kitchen had new cabinets, and they were filled with someone else's dishes. They weren't renovating, they were living there. My hands shook on the steering wheel. Then the front door opened. Stephanie stepped out, coffee mug in hand, completely at ease. When she saw my car, her relaxed expression turned irritated. You're early, she said. You're living in my house, I replied. Mom, calm down. Let me explain. Explain what? I said. That you lied to me. That you moved into my home while I pay $60 a night for a hotel? We needed somewhere to stay, temporarily, she said. Our basement renovation turned into a nightmare. There's water damage, mold, unlivable conditions. We couldn't stay there. And you weren't using this house. It didn't make sense for it to sit empty while we were dealing with a crisis. Not using it? I said. It's my house. You were only supposed to be gone 6 weeks, she replied. Then the renovation ran into problems. I told you that. Mom, you're acting like we committed a crime. We're family. We're taking care of your property, taking care of it. I said, you changed the locks. You moved your furniture in. You're living here without my permission. Her eyes hardened. Actually, I've been paying the utilities. I've been maintaining the house. And since you still haven't signed the quitclaim deed, I've been covering all the renovation costs, myself costs, that keep increasing. There it was again. The quitclaim deed. If you sign it. She continued, her tone suddenly gentler. We can make this official. You could move into our guest house. It's really nice. And we'd take over the mortgage and maintenance here. Honestly, Mom, this place is too much house for you anyway. You've said that yourself. I said it needed updates, I replied. I never said I wanted to give it away. You're not giving it away. This is family helping family. But if you're going to make this difficult, maybe we need to have a different discussion. She glanced back at Brad, who was still standing in the doorway. We've put more than $40,000 into this house, she said. Floors, kitchen, bathrooms, everything upgraded. If you want us to leave, you'll have to reimburse us for those improvements. My jaw dropped. You did all of this without my permission. You gave permission when you moved out and gave us access, she replied coolly. Check your texts, you said. Do whatever you think is best. I have it in writing. She did. I had said that, but I meant cabinet colors, design choices, not surrendering my entire home. I want to go inside, I said. No, she answered. Not until this is handled legally. Brad has already talked to our attorney about our options. You can either cooperate or this gets complicated. She stepped back from my car. I'll call you next week. Think about what's best for everyone. Then she walked back into my house and closed the door in my face. I drove back to the hotel in a daze. My hands shook so badly I had to pull over twice. When I finally reached my room, I collapsed onto the bed and forced myself to think. My daughter had taken my house, not with force, not with a break-in, but with paperwork, manipulation, and my trust. And now she was threatening me legally if I didn't comply. I pulled out my phone and reread every text from the past 3 months. She wasn't wrong. I had written, "Do whatever you think is best," when she asked about countertops. I'd also said, "I trust your judgment, and I can't wait to come home." But nowhere had I said, "Move into my house and claim it as yours." Would a court see that difference? I needed help. Real help. I called my son Michael, who lives in Colorado. I hadn't told him much. He and Stephanie had been feuding for years, but I was desperate. "Mom?" He answered on the second ring. "What's wrong?" "You sound shaken." I told him everything: the renovation promise, the hotel, the changed locks, finding them living in my home, the quitclaim deed, the demand for reimbursement. The silence afterward was so long I thought the call had dropped. "Mom," he finally said, his voice tight, "she's trying to steal your house. This isn't a misunderstanding. This is theft." "But she's your sister. She's a con artist who happens to share our DNA," he interrupted. "Remember when Dad died, and she convinced you to make her executor of his estate? Remember the money that went missing?" I froze. I had forgotten or chosen to. There had been around $15,000 unaccounted for. Stephanie claimed it went toward funeral costs and estate fees. I never saw detailed receipts. Michael had wanted an audit. I shut it down. "Oh God," I whispered. "Listen carefully," Michael said. "Do not sign anything, no quitclaim deed, no rental agreement. Don't even sign for a package. You need a lawyer today, one who specializes in elder abuse and property disputes, because that's exactly what this is. Elder abuse." The words hit me like ice water. Me, a victim of elder abuse by my own daughter. "One more thing," Michael said. "You need to go to your bank and make sure Stephanie doesn't have access to your accounts." My stomach dropped. "She's on my checking account. She helped me set up online banking last year. I added her in case of emergencies." "Go now," he said, "before she drains you." If you're as shocked as I was in that moment, hit the subscribe button, because this story gets even worse. I was at the bank when it opened Monday morning. The second I saw my balance, my knees nearly buckled. $43,000 gone. My retirement account, which had over $68,000 just 3 months earlier, now showed $25,000. My checking account, $37. "I need a manager," I told the teller. Right now, in a small office with generic landscape art, a manager named Patricia pulled up my account history. "Here," she said, turning the screen. "These are the transfers from the last 90 days. Transfer after transfer. 5,000, 83,000, 7,000. All authorized by the joint account holder," she said. "Stephanie Chen." "Chen?" I repeated. "My daughter's married name is Morrison." Patricia zoomed in. "The joint holder is listed as Stephanie Chen, added 14 months ago." My mind raced. Stephanie divorced her first husband, David Chen, 6 years earlier. Then it hit me. When she set up my online banking, she'd used her old married name. A name that wouldn't immediately connect back to her. She'd planned this, maybe not from the beginning, but she'd laid the groundwork long before the renovation. "I want her removed immediately," I said, "and I want to know if any of this money can be recovered." Patricia nodded sympathetically. "We can remove her access today. But recovering the funds is complicated. She was an authorized user. From the bank's perspective, these transactions weren't fraudulent. You'd need legal action." I filed a police report that afternoon. The officer was kind but honest. "When someone has legal access, it's hard to prove theft," he said. "Your best option is a civil attorney." Michael's referral came that evening. Patricia Vega, an attorney specializing in elder financial abuse. Her consultation fee was $300. Money I could barely spare, but I paid it. "Tell me everything," she said the next morning. "From the beginning." I did. When I finished, she leaned back. "Here's the good news: you still own your house. Your name is on the deed. They're trespassing, and we can remove them. The bad news? It will take time, and your daughter will fight dirty." "How long?" "If we move fast, 30 to 60 days, possibly less with an emergency hearing." 60 days felt endless. But I had no choice. The next morning, she filed an unlawful detainer lawsuit, legal action to remove occupants who don't belong there. She also requested a temporary restraining order to stop Stephanie from taking or selling anything else. She'll be served today or tomorrow, Vega said. And she'll be furious. Don't answer calls. Don't respond to texts. Everything goes through me now. Understood? I agreed, but I had no idea how vicious Stephanie was about to become. The calls started within 3 hours of her being served. 17 calls in a single afternoon. I didn't answer a single one. Then the texts started coming. How could you do this to me? After everything I've done for you. You're going to tear this family apart over a misunderstanding. Brad and I are devastated. The kids are crying. That last message shattered me. My grandchildren Emma and Jackson were only 7 and 9. They had nothing to do with this. But Stephanie knew exactly where to strike. Then the tone shifted. You're making a massive mistake, my lawyer said. You're going to lose and owe me money. You're a bitter old woman who can't stand seeing your daughter happy. Dad would be ashamed of you. That one sent my phone flying across the hotel room. By the third day, Stephanie changed strategies. She began calling relatives and friends, spreading her version of the story, one where I was the villain. In her telling, she and Brad had sacrificed everything to care for me, paying for my hotel, funding renovation, managing my finances, because I was supposedly becoming confused and forgetful. And now, according to her, I was repaying their kindness by suing them and trying to make them homeless. My cousin Janet called me in tears. Linda, please tell me this isn't true. Stephanie says you're not well, that you're confused. She's so worried about you. I'm not confused, I said. She moved into my house without permission and took $40,000 from my bank account. She says she borrowed it for the renovations with your approval and was planning to pay it back, Janet replied. Linda, maybe you just forgot. That's when it hit me. Stephanie wasn't only stealing my house and my money. She was stealing my credibility. She was turning me into a fragile, senile old woman who couldn't remember her own choices. I'm not confused, I said firmly. And I'm not dropping the lawsuit. Next came my book club. 3 of the 5 women stopped returning my calls. The other 2 were kind but hesitant, unsure what to believe. At church, people began giving me strange looks. Stephanie had apparently told them I was suffering from early-stage dementia and accusing her of things she'd never done. I was being isolated methodically by my own daughter. This is textbook, Attorney Vega said when I showed her the messages. Gaslighting, alienation, reputation sabotage. She's trying to pressure you into dropping the case. Don't. We're getting a court date, and we're going to win. But winning felt impossibly far away as I sat alone in a hotel room. Half my family convinced I was losing my mind, and my grandchildren being fed lies about their grandmother. The hearing was scheduled exactly 47 days after we filed. 47 days in that hotel. 47 days of spending money I didn't have. 47 days of my daughter living in my house, sleeping in my bedroom, eating at my kitchen table. Vega prepared me carefully. She'll bring receipts, proof she paid utilities, texts from you authorizing work. She'll present herself as the devoted daughter, helping her aging mother, and you as confused and ungrateful. We need to counter every claim. I came prepared. Bank statements showing unauthorized withdrawals, text messages proving I repeatedly asked to return home and was refused, emails from before the renovation where I talked about my plans for my house once updates were done, photos I'd taken months earlier time-stamped and geotagged. Michael flew in from Colorado the day before the hearing. It was the first time I'd seen him in 8 months. When he hugged me at the airport, I broke down. We're going to fix this, Mom, he said. I promise. The courtroom was smaller than I expected. Stephanie arrived with Brad and an attorney who looked like he charged more per hour than I spent on groceries in a month. She wore a cream-colored dress and a pearl necklace, the one I'd given her at college graduation. The optics were intentional. She looked like the perfect, concerned daughter. When our eyes met, she didn't look away. She stared at me with something cold and calculating. This wasn't my daughter anymore. Maybe she never was. Judge Martinez, a woman in her 60s, reviewed the files before calling the court to order. Stephanie's attorney spoke first. He described a loving daughter who invested her own money into her mother's home, who managed her mother's finances with permission, who temporarily moved in due to an emergency at her own residence, and who was now being accused of theft by a mother, showing signs of cognitive decline. Your Honor, he said, we have documentation indicating Mrs. Ashford has become increasingly forgetful, repeating conversations, missing appointments, and misunderstanding financial arrangements she herself approved. Then Vega stood. Your Honor, this is not a family misunderstanding. This is financial exploitation and property theft targeting a vulnerable senior. Mrs. Ashford is the sole owner on the deed. She never consented to her daughter moving in. She never authorized $43,000 to be withdrawn from her savings, and she repeatedly refused to sign a quitclaim deed despite sustained pressure. Vega presented everything: the bank records, texts, timelines, the change locks, the denial of access, the systematic isolation. Judge Martinez listened without reaction. Then she asked the question that changed everything. Ms. Morrison, she said, do you have receipts for these renovation expenses? Stephanie's attorney smiled confidently. Yes, Your Honor. Comprehensive documentation totaling $42,000. He handed over a thick folder. $8,000 for cabinets, $6,000 for flooring, $5,000 for bathroom fixtures. Judge Martinez reviewed them carefully. Then she held one up to the light. This receipt from Premier Kitchen Design, she said slowly, is dated March 15th for $8,000. Can you explain why the paperweight differs from the others, and why the font changes midway through the document number? The courtroom went silent. I'm not sure what you're suggesting, the attorney said. I'm suggesting this receipt is fabricated, Judge Martinez replied. She lifted another. This one lists a business license number that doesn't exist. I know the format. My brother owns a tile company. This document is fake. Vega stood. Your Honor, we request a forensic review of. That won't be necessary, Judge Martinez said sharply. She turned to Stephanie. Miss Morrison, did you create these receipts? Stephanie had gone pale. No, Your Honor. My contractors provided them. Which contractors? The judge asked. Names and contact information. Stephanie looked at her attorney. He looked at his notes. No one spoke. You don't have them, Judge Martinez said, because they don't exist. These receipts are fake. You created them to justify stealing $43,000 from your mother. This is speculation, the attorney began. No, the judge interrupted. This is fraud. And it is elder abuse. She turned to me, her expression softening slightly. Mrs. Ashford, I'm deeply sorry you were subjected to this by your own child. Then back to Stephanie. You and your husband have 48 hours to vacate Mrs. Ashford's property. All keys must be returned. You will not remove, sell, or damage any of her belongings. Failure to comply will result in arrest for criminal trespassing. We have nowhere to go, Stephanie cried. You should have considered that before occupying someone else's home without consent. The judge replied. 48 hours. She reviewed the bank records again. As for the stolen funds, I'm ordering full restitution of $43,000 within 90 days. Failure to repay will allow Mrs. Ashford to place liens, garnish wages, and pursue criminal charges for theft and fraud. Stephanie collapsed. Mom, please, don't, I said quietly. It was the first word I'd spoken directly to her in that courtroom. Just don't. Judge Martinez signed the orders. We're adjourned. Mrs. Ashford, I hope you return home and find peace. You deserve it. 2 days later, I stood in my driveway once more. This time the locks worked. This time. I opened the door and walked into my house. The house looked exactly the way I'd left it aside, from the new kitchen cabinets and the refinished floors. Those were the only renovations Stephanie had actually completed before moving herself in. Everything else had been a lie. No remodeled bathrooms. No updated fixtures. Just enough work done to make her story seem real. My furniture was still there, though some pieces had been pushed into the garage to make space for theirs. My photos still hung on the walls. My books remained on the shelves, though shoved aside to make room for Stephanie's decorative clutter. Michael helped me move their things out to the curb. Every box, every chair, every last trace of them. We worked quietly. And with each item removed, I felt something heavy lift from my chest. The attorney fees had taken another $8,000. The hotel had cost $11,000. I'd spent nearly $20,000 just to get my own house back, but I had it. 3 weeks after the court order, Stephanie made one final attempt to contact me. She left a voicemail. Her voice sounded different, smaller, almost broken. Mom, I know I messed up. I know I hurt you, but I'm still your daughter. Brad left after everything that happened. He took the kids and filed for custody because of the legal issues. I've lost everything. I don't know what I was thinking. I thought if I had your house, if I could show Brad we could live somewhere nice, he'd stop talking about divorce. It's spiraled out of control. I'm so sorry. Please, I need you. I listened to the message twice. Then I deleted it. Attorney Vega helped me secure a restraining order. Stephanie is not allowed within 500 feet of my property. She's making restitution payments, $300 a month, which means it will take 12 years to repay what she stole. I'll probably never see all of it. But that's not what matters anymore. What matters is that I'm sitting in my own living room, in my own home, drinking coffee from my own mug. What matters is that I trusted my instincts when something felt wrong, even when it meant standing against my own daughter. What matters is that I never signed that quitclaim deed. Michael visits more often now. My book club meets here again every Thursday. All of them once the truth came out. My grandchildren send me cards sometimes, careful little notes written in Emma's neat handwriting. I write back and tell them I love them, and that none of this was their fault. Maybe one day they'll understand what really happened. Maybe they won't. I've made peace with that. People ask if I regret taking Stephanie to court. If I regret losing my relationship with my daughter. The answer is no. She ended that relationship the moment she chose to see me as a target instead of her mother. She ended it when she decided my house was worth more than my trust. I'm 72 years old. I live in a home I nearly lost because I loved someone who didn't love me back, not in the way a daughter should love her mother anyway. But I'm still here. And this house, it's still mine.